All right, guys, hello. It is Tuesday. Hopefully you all Zoomed, although I saw three, I think, people that didn't Zoom. I don't know where you were at, where you were hiding, if you were just sleeping. But, today is Tuesday, and, yep, here's the homework for tonight. It's questions 6 through 10 in your Chapter 20 review. By the way, also, already hinted at a couple people that have been talking to me. Do we have another essay? Yes, we do. If you take a look at the end of your Chapter 20 review, you'll see a question that is an essay. So please, if you guys haven't already looked at that, you may want to look at that while we're talking about this. By the way, too, when we are reading, I noticed a lot of you didn't include much in the way of reading in your last essay for the First World War. So let's make sure you guys are including that as well. All right. So today notes are pretty short and sweet. We've talked about yesterday about this problem of admiration versus worship. Unfortunately, too many of these individuals are serving as their own personal gods to individuals who see them not for admiring, but see them as a person or persons worth worshiping. So I just wanted to take note of this. I didn't get a chance to say it. We kind of ran out of time yesterday. But I'm giving you an example. Babe Ruth. When Yankee Stadium was built, they referred to Yankee Stadium as the house Ruth built, but some people also referred to it as the temple that Ruth built. Today, a nickname for Yankee Stadium is the Cathedral of Baseball. Very religious tones then to this stadium, and once again this concept. The other day we talked about, just before we left, the Zoom was talking about the fact that these guys are going to be making multi-millions of dollars. And remember, this is the 1920s. At this point, guys, the average pay of an individual was about $5,000 a year. So most people made about $5,000 a year. These guys are making millions. So you can just imagine what this was like. So these sports heroes, we come down to a guy by the name of Jack Dempsey, a fighter. He will produce the first ever $1 million fight. And not only will he have one of these $1 million fights, he'll have several of these $1 million fights. Please understand, this idea of boxing had been something that progressives had always been kind of like really upset about and saying, hey, we shouldn't be allowing this. The next person we have is a guy by the name of Jim Thorpe. He was an American Indian, and he had won a number of Olympic medals, both in track and field. But then he went on to play both professional baseball and football, and he kind of capitalized on those sports, or on his past, and they actually, the Olympic Committee, I believe, had him actually give back those medals, which is so sad for an athlete that was so talented. The next point, oops, sorry guys, I'm going to take a chance over here, look over here, is that by and far, the greatest sports hero at this time was Babe Ruth. By and far, the greatest sports hero at this time was Babe Ruth. His trade to the New York Yankees was said to place a curse then on his team that he was at, called the Boston Red Sox, and that lasted until only recently. Only recently was that broken, about, I believe it was 10 years ago. His trade to the New York Yankees was said to be a curse that got placed on the Boston Red Sox, because they couldn't win any World Series until, like I said, just recently. He, like other athletes, had huge shrines, in this case Yankee Stadium, built for them. he, like other athletes, had huge shrines like Yankee Stadium built for them. By the way, heroes could also be anti-heroes. Heroes could also be anti-heroes like Al Capone, that we will talk about later. So some heroes could even be anti-heroes like Al Capone that we'll talk about later. Now, this is all a reflection, letter C, of a secularization of our society. This is a slow decay. This is a slow decay of religious values, traditions, and authority. This is a slow decay of religious values, traditions, and authority. This is very difficult because up until the 1920s, when you went to someone and you talked to someone, often the person you would talk to, a person of authority, would be your pastor, right? Now in the 1920s, you'd be more inclined to find out if there was a college professor nearby and go talk to them because their authority was more respected. From this point on in history, the nation will continue to value less and less the principles and teachings of Christ and replace them with the values and the teachings of this world. Forms of entertainment like movies, radio, and dance will contribute to the decline. Movies, radio, and dance will contribute to the decline. All of these things, whether they be the movies or the radio or dance, we're going to challenge not only the authority of the church, but also challenge the very basic morals that our nation had always stood for. Last point today. Scientific thought as well will change the very existence of God by the 1960s. Scientific thought as well will change the very existence of God by the 1970s. And what I mean by this is by the 1970s, the hippies primarily will declare God to be dead. By the 1970s, the hippies will say, you know what? There is no God. He died a long time ago. So, ladies and gentlemen, this decline in our society is just beginning, and we'll see this with the 1920s. Don't get me wrong, this was exciting times, and people were very excited about living during this time. But you have to understand that in the bigger perspective of our faith and who we are as Christians, all of these things will now start to be challenged. All right, guys. So tonight, 6 through 10 in your chapter 20 study guide. Make sure you guys work on that. Also, once again, you're going to want to start looking at that essay. For this next test, I'm not going to have a separate score for your thesis and introduction. Instead, I'm going to actually have you guys still pre-write your intro and your thesis, but I'm going to have you put it into the test with your body paragraphs. And there's going to be a video soon on how to write a conclusion, so keep your eyes out for that. All right, guys, have a great day today. Enjoy the sunshine and the warm temperatures. It's kind of warm today, so have a great day. I'll see you guys. Bye.